John Krikorian's journey began 17 years before he was born, here in a village outside Kharpert, where both of his parents were orphaned during the Armenian Genocide. Hovnatan and Elizabeth made it to America, and in 1932, John Krikorian was born in Hartford, Connecticut, growing up in nearby New Britain with his sister and two brothers. After getting a management and accounting degree, John served as an Army sergeant during the Korean War. After the war, while attending an Armenian Youth Federation dance in New Jersey, he met Elsie Manoogian of Ohio. The Armenian Americans from Cleveland and Connecticut clicked. After 56 years of marriage, John and Elsie were surrounded by 8 children and 22 grandchildren. The couple raised that family while John spent nearly 30 years at the Hartford Courant, mostly as Vice President of Advertising and Marketing. But in 1989, he headed to the Golden State.
I remember that day after November. I just got married November 25th, 1989, and I got the phone call from my dad after I got back from my honeymoon. He said, "Greg, we're moving to Glendale, Burbank area. We're going to start a business. Pack up your bags. Let's move to California." And I was all excited. Just got married 1 month, left Detroit, Michigan, ended up in Glendale, California, and worked with my dad for 24 years building this infrastructure of Business Life magazine.
He knew in the early 1990s that the emerging populations were business leaders and professionals and women. And they had the ability to build bridges in communities, Pasadena, Glendale, Burbank, San Gabriel Valley, Los Angeles.
John Krikorian was running a business, but he did it while immersing himself in countless communities and organizations.
When I think of John, what's really important to me was his kindness, his humanity, and he cared about all kinds of people, didn't matter who they were.
And if you look around today, you can certainly see that the bridges were built, the connections were made, that strengthened small businesses, family businesses, and community. He had the great ability to bring people together and say, this local government has these programs, the county has these programs, and he did it in a way that was empowering.
He was a person that could communicate to everybody. He had divergent interests. He could communicate from this end of the spectrum and that end of the spectrum and bring it all together. He was a good man.
That seems to be a recurring theme in the life of John Krikorian: good, hardworking, inclusive.
I cannot remember or recall any time with anyone that has made any negative statements about John. He was what I would describe as someone that had the sort of the old school sensibilities, whereas a friend meant being a friend, where his word counted for something. He was always available to support and would always ask me, is there anything else that I can do? And was just very genuine and exceptional person.
When I say John Krikorian, I can think of one word only, a father figure. John was always like a father to me.
He was a steady thread in my life. And because of John, I got to meet his wife and his children. And I felt that he was my West Coast dad. You know, my dad lives back in New York, but I could pick up the phone and call John at any time. He could call me at any time. So there was a friendship that was deep, wide, and one we didn't have to mess with. It was just there.
Every edition of Business Life magazine for more than 24 years has been given life here at California Offset Printers in Glendale. Greg Krikorian estimates that the magazine has spent close to $2 million on printing costs alone, money that has gone right into the local economy.
You know, I found out so much after my dad passed about him, even more of what he's given. His footprints are throughout Monrovia, throughout Glendale and Burbank, and throughout all over, even downtown LA, working with Supervisor Mike Antonovich on the Small Business Commission.
Well, John Krikorian was an exceptional leader in our community, not just in journalism, but within our community organizations. Every time we had issues dealing with public health, creating jobs, any type of interest that the county government had been involved with, John was there. He covered that or he personally participated. He served as a member of a commission that I appointed him to on small businesses, his Women of Achievement, Business Life magazine, his children following his example of community involvement. We appreciate the legacy he left, but we do miss him because he was a great man and he was a great friend to many of us and a great, as I say, a role model.
We were going to visit the Vatican, and we had a special pass to see the Pope and hear him when he did his weekly Mass at the Vatican. Well, I had promised John that I would take his Business Life magazines with me, and we would take pictures wherever we were holding the Business Life magazine to show that it had been all over the world. So I'm holding the Business Life magazines, and the Pope comes over and he grabbed both of our hands to bless us. Well, we were so shook. And here I am holding the Business Life magazines.
When I heard about him collapsing at an event, I thought, boy, John, you really have to take care of yourself. And he says, that's what I've been doing lately.
John Krikorian died about 18 months later at the age of 80, with 30 children and grandchildren mourning his death and celebrating his life.
You know, not only am I blessed as his son, but what we've done through 24 years and continuing on with our magazine, a lot of people were closing their doors and we kept things going. And we always been at the cutting edge, and that's because of John's creativity and high energy.
If I could have 1/10 the impact John had in this community, I think it was a success. His family, what he did with Business Life, his honoring women in business, what he contributed to this community will be a lasting testament to what a wonderful person he was. And John, will miss you, but not forgotten.
Of all the qualities that have been talked about with John, the one that comes to mind for me is selfless. Of course, John protected his family and his wife, and they were important, but John went well beyond that to protect and serve his community, and beyond that to serve the communities around him. John gave as much of himself that any man could give, and for me, that's the thing that I remember, that's the gift that he gave to me, and that's the gift that I'll carry on in memory of John, who I carry with me all the time. Selfless, and that's what made John extraordinary.
At first, when you met John, he was very businesslike, very stern, very serious, but as you got to know John, you saw the other side of that human being, and it was beautiful. He was kind, he was compassionate, he cared about others, he cared about his family, he cared about the community, he cared about anybody else but himself. And that's what was beautiful about John. He had a heart of gold.
I will miss John. I already miss him. I will miss him forever. But he's living with us. His memory is alive, especially on this special day.
I thank God every day that I had the chance to be his friend. And John was my friend.
He's been a great mentor and an inspiration. And I know you're watching over us still.
So for me, John is a spirit that lives on.
I miss him. I miss him a lot.